It's Tuesday and we are choosing happiness and warmth and peace and love and all the amazing things that you may think are cliche, but we don't. You are watching Smell the Coffee with Diana Master and Aina Rise of Query. I feel like we say this every time. So eventually it gets harder to find new words that you guys haven't heard before. Because every day it's the same thing. So we have to find ways to spice it up. And in so doing, we trip over a word sometimes. How are you doing, Sweetie Pie?
I'm doing great. I cannot complain. All is well. I feel like we as presenters, as media personalities, are often hard on ourselves. When you speak in your day-to-day, you also have slip-ups. English is not your mother tongue.
Yes.
But as soon as you do it on camera, you feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But it's normal. There is no way you're going to speak and not have slip-ups.
Exactly.
So, and also, it's also unfair for the audience to judge us, to determine whether you're a good presenter or a bad presenter just because you go over your words. Because even you, who's not a presenter, when you speak in a normal conversation, you go over your words.
Yes.
Even if you have a doctorate in English, you would do it. So I don't know, there are like such high expectations on TV presenters.
But even when it's fully scripted, you will still slip up.
Yes.
You could have read that script 15 times before you even start the show. The minute you start the show, something happens and then you trip over one word and you're like, how can I trip over such a word?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a very simple word. But
and it's something that you say every day. And then that day it just, and you are now mad about it, your whole day is ruined. You know, when I first started out as a presenter, those things really used to affect me. But now I just don't care.
Now you just don't care because you're human.
Yeah.
You apologize, you move on. Excuse me, sorry.
I meant XX.
Yes, and then you move on.
Yeah, and then you move on.
Because, you know what, I grew up in a family where we would laugh at each other. The minute somebody slips up, there was a time my brother? Somebody made so we're in school. And this one girl said something. She also had to slip up. And then people were laughing at her. And then this one girl tried to come to her defense. And she said, guys, just don't be so hard on her. It was a slippery of the tongue. And we all went, oh, what? So now the attention shifted from the other girl to her.
Girl,
and we were and there was this one girl, you know, there's always that girl, the girl. And then our teacher said to her, where's your book? No, sir, it's just that I forgot it. And the teacher said, you chose to forget it. And she's like, no, sir, I didn't chose to forget it. And we all went. High school was the worst.
No, we also had those in high school, but I feel like it's so immature to think about it. Like, why do we laugh? It's not funny.
Know. It's just, I laugh at myself sometimes because I go, woof.
But one thing I've learned in broadcasting, it happens to the best of us.
It happens to the best of us.
I would be watching Bonang and she'll go over her words a million times and she's like the best in the game.
Because the thing is, sometimes people just make you nervous.
Yeah. Sometimes you're not even nervous.
Sometimes you're not even nervous. It's just an accident.
It's that thing that it's out of your control.
It's a slippery of the tongue.
You don't know what's going to come out and you can't control it. And there's a misconception that if you go over your words, you're unprepared. Let me take this time rather to debunk that, because that's not true. Just because you see somebody going over their word, this can be a president, a speaker, a broadcaster, anyone who's doing public speaking, it does not mean they are unprepared. That person could have prepared a million times and will still make a mistake.
Yeah, definitely. I always enjoy conversations with my family because, like I'm saying, we still laugh at each other. There was a time I laughed at myself because I wanted to say, no, because this guy is autistic. So I wasn't laughing at the fact that he's autistic, but then I said, yeah, because he's acoustic. I'm like, wait, what? And my sister and I just went, acoustic. So yeah, because my brain just, autistic, acoustic. acoustic together. But nevertheless, we will be right back as we get into our top stories, starting with a very controversial one about a gym that is banning women of a certain age group from working out at peak hours. Stick around for that story and more.
eTicket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
And now in our top stories, gym bans women over the age of 24 from working out during peak hours. A 36-year-old woman has caused a stir after revealing her gym has started banning women over the age of 24 from working out during peak hours. She shared her story on the popular UK-based forum Mumsnet, where women often seek advice on various topics related to women and parenting. In her post titled, "Am I being unreasonable to think this is unfair?" she explained that she recently received a text from her gym about a new policy. She shared a screenshot of the message, which said the gym would be reserved exclusively for females aged 12 to 24 from 4 to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday. This update has been made in response to feedback and to better cater to our younger female members who require a dedicated, comfortable space during peak after school and early evening hours, the text continued. Please note that outside of these hours, our ladies' gym will continue to be available for all female members as usual. A 36-year-old woman has caused a stir when she revealed that in her post titled, "Am I being unreasonable to think this isn't fair?" she explained that she recently received that text. So, what do you think?
So what are the reasons why they can't?
They just said because it's to get that age demographic comfortable in the gym, like when they come from school.
Wait, the 24-year-olds?
12 to 24. And I'm like, 12 to 24 is such a weird demographic because 12-year-olds and 24-year-olds have nothing in common.
Exactly. So it's a bit confusing.
It's very confusing. And people are wondering, like, why? Because I understand if you're saying you're banning men.
Yeah.
But even women?
For me, I just have a problem with everyone, I think, gymming at the same time. It's sort of intrusive in terms of privacy. You
this
will
is
be
why I don't
there.
like the gym.
Exactly. That is why I also don't go to the gym.
Because everyone is staring. And
everyone is staring at you. And some people are not even staring in admiration. Others is like for other reasons.
Yes. And it makes you very uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because also in gyms, we're wearing sports bras and cycle shorts and whatever. And you know
those
that you're...
king of squat tights.
Yeah. And now people are just looking at you.
Yeah.
I remember the very first time I went to a gym and I wanted to go get weights. And I looked over to the weight section and it was just gym bros. I'm like, yeah, no. It's just men.
It's just very
just
uncomfortable.
Men, just they, all of them. And the minute you start walking over, they all look at you.
Yes.
It's kind
And
of
you
like,
know
what are
they are
looking?
talking about you. Because if you're not discussing me, you will not be looking at
Yes.
me. And it's just like...
So I just went back to the machines. I'm like, I'm not going to, I guess for today, I'm not going to use dumbbells. And because of that, I started going to the gym at like 10. Those very odd hours
where no one is there.
No one is there, yeah.
I would also really prefer going to the gym when no one is there, but I don't do the gym. I'd rather what is this? A group of people where they come?
Like a class.
Yeah, but there's another word, boot camp.
Oh,
yeah,
boot camp.
Yes,
Okay,
I'd rather
okay.
boot camp.
I remember even when I went swimming in that gym, everyone kept saying, "Oh, you can swim, so you're gonna teach us how to swim." Like, guys, I just want to do my things and go. But nevertheless, let us know what you think about this new policy. Is it fair? Is it unfair? What do you think? We will be right back as we get into our guest segment and we speak all things poetry.
They say that poetry is when emotion finds thoughts and these thoughts in turn find words. Now today we are joined by the biggest poet in the country. Her name is Dam Etu, and she is here to talk to us about her thriving career. What up, girl?
Girl, I like the way you say my name because you must say it with a bit of pizzazz.
I was
Damn.
not sure. You called us out. You said you must say it with pizzazz. So I was like,
Please.
I have to make sure.
You must get it right.
I have to
But thank
make
you
sure.
so much for having me.
No, you're most welcome. Tell us about when you first fell in love with poetry.
To be honest, I have 3 versions of it. Number 1, there was this lady, I grew up in an after-school program called Mondesa Youth Opportunities. And there was this lady, she was a volunteer from the States, and she gave me this journal. I think I was in grade 4. So my writing had an influence on me being a poet. But as cliche as it sounds, there was a time, I think I was grade 6, I was cleaning an English class and I picked up this poetry book. It's an anthology and it had a lot of poetry by different people. But then I started writing, but I was trying to emulate the poetry that's in that book. So it was very Western kind of written thing. But then I think my friend was like, no, Chumi, but your writing is good. One guy saw it and was like, can you please write me a letter? So I gave it to my girlfriend. That was in high school. So I was writing letters in high school
for other people's
girlfriends. If you had a guy in high school, okay, chances are very high I played a part in your love story. So I was selling that. Literally, it was the whole black market thing. That's when I started writing poetry. And then it grew. And then I was like, oh, I'm actually good at this. It's interesting.
Okay, so what do you write the most about? Do you write with an audience in mind, or is it more of a personal release?
I think most of the times it depends on the pieces that I'm writing. But my writing process is not necessarily that I would think about what to write. Sometimes I would see something happen and I'm like, oh, that's actually something that I could write on. And then I write about it. But most of my pieces are either my friends' experiences, just general experiences. But now I think 5 years ago, when I started writing in Oshuambo, I started writing about the experiences of my childhood, especially about the women that raised me. I'm very big on writing about women's stories.
And what would you say? What would you say inspires your writing apart from women's stories? What about women's stories are you really looking to write? Is it their day-to-day experiences? Is it their love stories? Is it their careers? Or just women in general? And maybe if we can narrow it down.
I like to say that I'm a storyteller, and obviously storytelling doesn't necessarily have a specific niche that I focus on. But in this case, it's women and what stories they stand for. But I focus a lot on the silence of women.
Okay.
So this goes to what experiences do women have within this silence. And the setup that I grew up in, I grew up with a lot of women who surrounded me, but had a lot of traditional aspects that affected their life in different ways. I was raised by a grandmother who took in a lot of kids. And this person was very selfless, but in the end, her children, especially her boy children and the men that she raised, ended up, going against her, and she ended up having to leave her place. And all those factors come into the stories that I tell about this woman. She had a lot of resilience, she had a lot of self-love, and she took in a lot of kids. And the one that I also write about is, I write about abuse, I write about how these women actually don't necessarily go report these abuse cases. And it primarily because mostly it's a traditional aspect. And in Oshuambo, they say, which is very wrong to me,
toxic,
because what do you mean, and who is beating the man? Which shouldn't be a thing, but like, why did we grow up on the notion that it's okay for women to be beaten and they have no outlet to go and report?
And even now, when you are beaten by your boyfriend or your husband and you
Yes.
go home and to say that, no, and they are like, oh, just go back, heal for now, and
Yes.
then go back. Yeah.
It's part of the marriage package, or it's part of the relationship package. And there was a lady who stayed in our yard. She would always, her boyfriend would always come after he drinks. It's like, yeah, you were cheating, you were doing this and this and this and that. And then he beats her, but it always baffled me how they would always sleep on the same bed. That silence there, what do you guys talk about?
No, I feel like people are very forgiving. You know, when it comes to love, you can overlook a million things.
Oh,
you can
girl.
overlook a million
Girl.
things. And you get over it because I love this person.
Yes, they will change.
Yes,
You
they
have
will
this
change.
hope.
You are hopeful that one day, you know, you will see greener pastures, which
I'm here to tell you.
oftentimes you never ever will.
They
The
won't.
people don't change, especially adults.
No.
It's hard for an adult to unlearn.
Because they bring these things from their childhood or wherever they learned it from, and there's no space for them to actually unlearn this thing.
Yeah.
So these are the stories that I write about. But also sometimes I write about love here and there, but it's not really a big factor because I want to write about the stories that every other person, women, experiences, mostly behind closed doors or mostly where they don't really have an outlet to speak about them.
Yeah, that's beautiful. When do you know that the piece is finished?
There are so many pieces there that I wrote.
That are unfinished.
Yes, and I'm like, okay, this piece looks like it's done, but it's not really done. And sometimes I read it back to myself or I record it and then I listen from an outside perspective to see what emotions do I get from this piece. Am I getting the emotion that I intended to get, or is there something missing? Like currently, the Kwaito piece that I'm working on, I started writing that piece with a lot of things in mind, with one thing in mind actually. But when I started writing it, a lot of factors came into it, like what it stood for, what the genre stood for, what the dancers stood for. But I still feel like there's maybe an element that's missing that I still need to incorporate. So once I get that, sometimes I intentionally go into certain spaces that will inspire me to write certain pieces. And sometimes my team doesn't understand. They're just like, what are you doing there, brah?
Who do you then consult when you're stuck, for example, with this Kwaito piece? Do you read it to other people or do you wait for it to be completely done, then you shade? And also, what is your creative process? How do you write? Do you write on a piece of paper? Do you use your laptop? Do you have to sit, go by the beach since you're from the coast, wait for the sun to come up
me
and
at a
then,
certain
you
angle.
know, and then you start writing?
Okay, one, I don't necessarily read my pieces to people before they're done because I just feel like if I read it now, this person already knows, and I have this feeling that maybe they have a certain expectation to how this piece might end. You know, I think the only pieces that I share with people are maybe intimate or sexual pieces that I write.
Yeah.
Those ones I can share because there are chances are very high that I might never recite them somewhere. You know, but most of my pieces, especially this Kwaito piece or any other piece, I try to read up on these topics that I'm writing about.
Yeah.
So reading is a big part of. They plays a big role in how I end pieces, what continues to the pieces that I feel like are incomplete. And my thought process, I write a lot on my phone. I don't know, I feel like it's faster with the thought process as opposed to having to write on paper.
Yeah, because sometimes you're in a cab now, you don't have a piece
Chua
of paper.
me, chua me. And there's a piece I wrote, there was a time I was somewhere at a drinking establishment somewhere in Karutura, and I saw something, and in the midst of everybody having fun and whatnot, I started writing, and that piece I finished because I was like, oh, this is inspired by whatever it is that I saw. And so my thought process, sometimes I write on the phone, and then when I feel like, okay, this is where my thought process ends for now, it's just maybe a rough draft, I can leave it. And then I see something else and I'm like, oh, this actually fits that other piece that I had not written, that I had not finished. And then I get to continue it. But music also plays a big role in how I write. So depending on what I write about, I would also listen to a certain type of music that directly translates into what I'm writing about.
Speaking about writing, I want to put you on the spot,
Ma'am.
but keep in mind PG-13. What is that one line that gives you chills that you wrote?
I'm trying to think now. The one line.
Yeah, that you're like,
It's
it's
me
down.
that wrote this one.
It's me. It is I.
I think it's the piece about the women, and I can't really remember. I don't necessarily memorize my pieces, but it's a line where.
Oh, that's so brilliant. You don't memorize?
No, because I feel like when my pieces are not necessarily memorizing pieces because they are long, and sometimes there's a lot of emotion into it. But there's a specific line where I talk about the women that I write about, the women who carry Omandinye Mbike, and the women who forgive us, and those Patetekelanale. So I'm talking about the people, our friends who died a long time ago, but also these women have gone through so many things to make sure that us, the children, are in a safer space.
Yeah.
So I grew up with women coming from Kukwangali Wanyanga, deep in Angola. I'm sure you've probably not heard of that village. And these women would come with 25 liters of ombike just to come sell, and okanepe is mostly just what? That time it was $10.
Yes.
So imagine you have maybe 7 of these and you have to sell out, and then that money you have to go back. But in that process, I don't even know how much profit these people would make.
But also oftentimes you'd notice that that money is the money that actually sent most of us to school.
Yes,
Yeah.
a lot of it, a lot of that. And a prime example is my mom. My mother would, sell oshungu, or mongo, or kapana, just so she can sustain the households with my other siblings that are in the north with her. So all these aspects fall into that very specific line, because these are the women that carried all of us, whether it be your mom that sells fruits and veggies on the side of the road, or in a katak shop, or hadumbo shkundu. Those are the very women that raised us.
Yeah.
Most of us millennials especially.
Power to the woman, man. Finally,
Please.
I want to ask about collaborations.
Yes.
You have said openly that you want to work with Gaza. Tell us why you want to work with Gaza and who else you want to work with.
Guys, please. If you have not tagged Gaza, please go tag Gaza in my comment section. But so this piece, like I was talking about earlier on, it's a Kwaito piece. And when I started writing it, it was on, I grew up in Swakopmund, right? And there was a guy called Kawera. There's a guy, he's still there around, his name is Kawera. But Kawera used to host these Kwaito shows. It was always, so they were held at Meduletu Hall. It's a community hall in Swakopmund. And it's different Kwaito groups that would always come and compete against each other. And some of these guys were my friends, and most of them actually passed on. So when I started writing this piece, it's actually titled In the Remembrance. It was, I was remembering these guys who passed on, and nobody actually talks about them anymore. So it was a thing of, do you remember who, Balak, Pele, Tadeus, Makambe, all those people that I mentioned in this piece. But as I started writing, I was researching on Kwaito, and then I came across this book titled Born to Kwaito by South African artists. I think it's 3 South African artists who wrote on it. And they write, I came to realize that it's not necessarily the dance itself.
Yeah.
It's also the genre, the kind of music that influenced Kwaito, what Kwaito stood for, and all those things. And I feel like in our days, during listening to Kwaito music, Gaza stood out because we had fights in high school where it's, Omshasho and GMP 467. I was always a GMP fan, but primarily it was because my brother was a big GMP fan, and in the house,
and
there was no way you will come up. You are not a GMP fan. What are you doing? So the whole idea is to have Gaza as, being the godfather of Kwaito, and all these other many elements around it would be, elements that speak to what Kwaito stood for. So it's kids dancing Kwaito, it's all stars hanging on the electric fence line, maybe with top score. It's men coming from work representing Odala Teiteke, that whole aspect of contract labor system. And it's women selling kapana, and it's literally, maybe even police brutality, all those many aspects that speak to what Kwaito stood for. And I feel like Gaza would be a great character to emulate that because of the kind of music that he does and the kind of music that we grew up on, especially his album Stop Love Shikapute. I love that album, and it speaks a lot to all the other experiences that I've had when I would listen to him being in his Kwaito element and growing up.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
Oh guys, it's gonna be a beautiful video.
I hope
that
Gaza
just needs to respond to me or something.
But Etu, we wish you all the best. We
Thank
hope
you
that
so much.
life remembers you and gives you everything that your heart desires.
Thank you.
And we will be rooting for you 24/7.
Thank you
When
so
is the next show, by the way?
So the next show, I have 3 shows lined up.
Nice.
The next show is in August. So whoever missed the launch, there's a chance because you're the amount of people like, yeah, no, how did I not see this? Guys, you follow me on the social media. How do you not see the things? But there's one in August. We still need to figure out a specific date. Then we have another show in the north.
Nice.
And then there's one in the coast. So I don't want to leave anybody out.
The one in August on Sister.
We are there.
On Optai. Thank you so much, Etu.
It is my pleasure. Please, thank you so much for hosting me.
All right, we will be right back. Stick around.